Welcome back to home. We are back home. Past two videos obviously been recorded from different locations, and I hope you particularly enjoyed seeing all of the footage from Danny's incredible show. I'm still buzzing. We've seen some of the stage shots have come through. He also did a photo shoot at the weekend just gone. Looked absolutely incredible at that as well. So very excited indeed for him. And now it's about managing that post-show phase, which can be tricky. I don't think Danny will mind me saying that, there have been some indulgences, shall we say, which it is normal. It's very normal to come out of that, particularly restrictive period, and it's quite unique in many ways to stepping on a bodybuilding stage. A lot of people who are sort of trying to lose weight or trying to get in better shape from more of a lifestyle thing don't necessarily need to be quite as restrictive. But a bodybuilding show is obviously pushing things very much to the extreme, and how you manage your way out of that and how you return to some degree of normality is definitely something that we have to watch closely. So we're doing that over the next few weeks, bringing calories up, making sure his body's in a much better place, hormonally, body fat levels coming up to make sure that he's functioning optimally, but also managing from a mental state. Because as I say, you've been through a process where you've been very restrictive for a long period of time, and it is really important that your mindset shifts back to allowing yourself some of those things that you haven't had, but without necessarily going completely to the opposite extreme, binging on absolutely everything in sight, and adding a load of body fat that you don't really need and don't really want to. So because what you'll then find is that you're in this weird swing situation, like you're still comparing yourself to your leanest look, and then as body fat levels naturally start to improve and increase because they have to, you're then looking at the uber lean, uber shredded version as the thing that you think you should be looking like at all times. And it isn't necessarily a realistic thing to expect to do that. So managing that carefully with Danny. And otherwise, coming back from 2 weeks away, pretty much the same weight that we went away. And again, for me, that's generally how I advise and suggest to clients to do things as well. Like if you're going away, if you're going on holiday, while I don't expect people to be, tracking and weighing and monitoring every single thing that goes in their mouths. I like to give guidelines when it comes to holiday eating. But even that is very much up to the client. If they want to use that as an opportunity to go away, relax, not track a single thing, and do what they need to do, that's absolutely fine, as long as expectations are managed, as long as we know that that is probably going to mean you're going to come back a few pounds heavier, and it is probably going to mean we're going to need to just rein that back in when you do get back. But few general guidelines that I like to give people, making sure that we're focusing on having a good portion of protein at each meal, getting the plate, a decent amount full with the salad and the veggies. If you want a few carbs on there, great. If you want a few treats in there, by all means do so. Just trying to be sensible. And to be honest, one of the phrases that I will often use when it comes to holiday stuff, because most people know what I mean, don't eat like a dickhead. and it sounds like such a simple thing to say, but honestly, like if you say to someone, just don't eat like a dickhead, they know what you mean. If you are going to go away and you're going to eat pizzas and burgers at every meal, if you're going to have huge stacks full of pancakes at every breakfast, you're going to be eating ice creams and chocolate and crisps and drinking to excess. If you're going to go down that route, you're probably being a bit of a dickhead with food. You are going to come back a good few pounds heavier, because you're probably also not going to be quite as active, because if it's a relaxing holiday, it is what it is. So yeah, coming back from 2 weeks away, to be honest, I don't necessarily consider these kind of trips as holidays, because I still work. They're very much like working in a different location for me, but I do try and take a bit of downtime to enjoy time with my family. And we try to do that as much as possible. Obviously, I mentioned the show that happened in that middle weekend of our trip. Before that was a busy week of working and trying to manage around, Louis and my parents also being busy, trying to see as many people as possible. The second week was a little bit easier to manage. My parents weren't working quite so much, and Lara was also off. So from a looking after Louis point of view, it was a little bit easier. I still had work to be getting on with, but I was trying to the way I try and do these things when I am away is get as much of what I need to do done early, and then have the day with everyone. And then if I need to do a little bit more, I try and do a little bit more later when everyone's settling down again for the evening. But let things be. Mum and dad often cook dinner for us because that was just their way of trying to, help us out and not mean that we were forever being the ones doing everything, which is what it's like back at home. Not that I'm complaining about that. That is life. Like that's what happens. You have to get on with stuff. But it was nice to be cooked for. So, I let them do that. Friday just gone, we celebrated my dad's birthday. So even though my dad's birthday was in April, it was an opportunity for most of us to all get together. So my older brother came down with his wife and two little girls. So fantastic for Louis to get to spend some time with his cousins, and they were all super sweet together. So we went to the beach, which was really nice. Louis's first sort of experience with the sand. Had fish and chips at the beach, so a little bit of indulgence there. Louis loved it, absolutely loved being on the sand. We were slightly hesitant, nervous. How would he be? Would he just try and eat the sand? We didn't think he had, but the poo a couple of days later said otherwise. It was rather grainy, to say the least. But he had a super time there. We had cake and ice cream a bit later on. We had a barbecue in the evening. And then the next day we had a family wedding. So, that was afternoon tea followed by a hog roast. So I had a couple of days towards the end of that trip that were a little bit more indulgent, shall we say. But yeah, still came back, as I say, pretty much the same weight that I went away. Feeling good, quite happy with the look when I've got back, and I've got back in my usual lighting environment. I think the look is holding up quite nicely, which is really, really positive to see. As you can see from the pictures that I'll pop on screen now, definite, massive improvements, obviously, in the body composition. We're a little over 20 pounds down in the space of 3 months. Really solid amount of weight to have lost, and just deciding what to do next. So next steps are going to be discussed with my coach. So my check-in has gone across today. Today is Tuesday morning when I'm recording this first section. So coach will have a look at those. We'll discuss the next steps. It's probably going to go back into a bit of a growth phase fairly soon because, we've done the hard work to get a good chunk of body fat off. So steady growth, I don't want to be adding, lots and lots of body fat over the next few months. We've got a holiday coming up at the end of August, and I'd quite like to remain lean-ish through the summer, having spent the past couple of summers very much in, the depths of phases of growth, and felt quite big and not particularly lean and not massively comfortable. So trying to stay a little bit leaner through the summer. And then once the holiday's done, probably having a little bit more aggressive push up towards Christmas and the new year. And then obviously we'll see what happens from there. But I'll update that very shortly once I've had my check-in reply back, once we've had that discussion. But yeah, first section of this video is done. So welcome, part 2 of this week's video. Just heard back from Christian. So checked in this morning. As I mentioned, like same weight pretty much as we went away. Actually, there's a couple of pounds come off on like the week to week from where I was at this very same point last week. So even within that week that I've just mentioned, where there was lots of off-plan food, lots of stuff going on, the busyness, the chaos, sort of managed to lose a couple of pounds, from like the week to week movement. But the averages, over the past couple of weeks, the averages pretty much remained the same from when I went away to where we were at today. So plans for the next few weeks and months. So this week is just very much about settling back into normality, settling back into routine. Again, it's something that I would pretty much be advising my clients too. Like if you've been away, if you've had a bit of a week where it's been a bit chaotic, a week or two, holidays, let's just get back to it. Let's just find that rhythm, find that consistency again, see where we're at. And obviously then we're going to be better placed to make some decisions. So this week, nice and settled and stable, back to where we were at but before we came away. And then we go on holiday in about 11 or 12 weeks time. So we've got an 11 or 12 week window now where we're probably going to have a little bit of a push up, just see where I'm at, see how the body's changing, and then potentially just a more aggressive sort of pullback before that holiday. I'd like to go away in a similar sort of condition than I am right now. Like I feel pretty good. I feel pretty comfortable. I'm carrying a little bit of body fat. I'm by no means absolutely diced lean, but that's a pretty decent spot to be in for what I call like day-to-day living. If I was in this kind of condition for the rest of my life, I would be really, really happy. That doesn't mean that I'm not the kind of person that wants to push for progress and continue to try and add some muscle, etc. So I will be doing that, and I will be pushing up. I'll be trying to push my lifts. Food will go up gradually. And as I say, we'll just keep an eye on the look and see where we're at. But 11 to 12 weeks. So, these videos I'll continue with. I'll keep you posted on how everything is going. But settled, stable week this week. Probably a little push up for 4, 5, 6 weeks, and then see where we're at, consider what we're doing, and potentially pull back again for another sort of 4, 5, 6 weeks after that, so that we're ready to go away on that holiday feeling pretty good. But overall, really, really solid week. Nice to be back home. Nice to be back in the rhythm again. And yeah, just looking forward to a much, much more steady and stable week this week. But have a good one, and I'll be back very, very soon.